bridges, trade and trust. And this UK-India infrastructure financing bridge is part of that story. This new partnership exemplifies the very best kind of collaboration, I believe, between businesses, communities, between public and private sectors, and between our two countries. India is the most populous country in the world. India holds bold ambitions for sustainable economic growth over the next 25 years, and infrastructure sits at the heart of those ambitions. So making these ambitions a reality will require private finance, expertise in structuring and phasing major infrastructure projects. And as I always say, the world's leading financial centre, some little places around the world try and challenge that statement occasionally, but I stick to it. As the world's leading financial centre, I'm delighted that the City of London can partner with India on this journey. It's an excellent foundation from which this bridges, from which we can build our success together, and the win-win that I was talking about earlier on the panel. So BVR, it's great to be a co-chair with you, and I welcome this partnership between the City of London Corporation and NITI Aayog in this endeavour. Thank you.
Signifying the formal start of the UK-India infrastructure financing bridge. This is something which was conceived, as Chris mentioned, through multiple conversations, identifying a need and identifying a possible source of the solution, and also narrowing down to actually the specifics which this bridge would deliver. NITI Aayog is the premier planning body of the Government of India, also the long-term perspective planning and visioning body. But there's a word which is used for it in India, it's called an action tank also, which means that it's not only just about thinking, long days and long nights, but it's actually about delivering stuff on the ground, and that's something that is expected of it. So we are very, very focused on results, and we're very happy that the way this has shaped up, we are actually focusing on key issues, key deliverables with timelines within which we will deliver. I think that is what will give satisfaction to both sides, both to the people who are spending their time and effort with you, and on my own side, there are departments, other organizations who are committing their own private and personal time to this initiative. So I think that's very important that we're going to. How are we going about it? We are picking up marquee projects, identifying them, identifying issues which come in the way of those projects meeting international standards, be it from construction or project design or financing. Remove those hurdles and then let them out. We are not into the actual financing of it. The presumption is that once you actually resolve all these issues, the funds will naturally flow once the obstacles are removed. I think that's the basis on which. So what are the kind of things? So end of the day, this infrastructure financing bridge will actually come out with good structured arrangements and advisories to whoever is a project proponent, be it the roads, be it railways, be it civil aviation, whatever, and give them suggestions on this is how this is to be structured, do some hand holding and see that what comes out is then attractive for the rest of the world to invest in. To, at the same time, share best practices, share the good things that are there around, both ways actually, for learning from each other, and that is the context in which the bridge can have a longer life than just 2 or 3 marquee projects. Because I'm actually seeing potential for this in terms of if we get through a couple of marquee projects which are identified as UK-India projects which have come out of this, it may have a validity in continuing in a different form with a different goal for the future, because the challenges of India are very long term and the possibilities for the UK are also long term, so it could actually be there long enough. And actually also play a third part, which you alluded to, which is actually once projects have been structured, organized, actually bringing investors together and explaining to them the benefits, what are the risks, how are the risks addressed, how are they being mitigated, what is the government's position in all those things, and last but not the least, make the investment happen. I think that's the key point, and the goal is actually to bring international standards both to project planning as well as investments to whatever is being done in India.
FTA is, of course, an important piece, and both governments are committed to delivering on the FTA. I'm not betraying any negotiating secrets when I tell you we believe we are close, but of course the proof of the pudding is not just in the eating, but in ensuring that it comes out of the oven at the right time. So we are at the process of sort of getting the last bits in place, and those are always the hard yards. A new government that is here in the UK, it is reasonable for the new government to take a little time, as we expected them to want to do, to ensure that they are at a comfortable place with everything that's been agreed so far. We would like, of course, very much for us to be able to proceed on the basis that we've taken the agreement so far, the negotiation so far. And on our side, we are absolutely ready to move forward with the negotiation as and when our partners here are ready. But as Ben said, the FTA is in totality, it is one very important part, but one part of the larger strategic relationship we seek to have with the UK. Now, the word strategic is often abused. It is used so often that it frankly gets devoid of much meaning. But in this case, it is truly strategic, because what we've been trying to do, and if you actually connect the dots over the last few years, is essentially to put the India-UK relationship in a place where A, there is a bipartisan consensus on both sides about the importance of the relationship, why it matters to each other. B, that we build up the pillars of the relationship that have not had as much exposure, shall we say, in the past. So that includes opportunities such as this, the India-UK infrastructure financing bridge, where we essentially are seeking to look at the financial services sector and essentially create a long-term channel, a viable channel for capital to be deployed profitably in India for the benefit of both economies. To look at technology, to look at research and innovation, hence the TSI, which we launched recently during Foreign Secretary Lami's visit, where we link together innovation capabilities in both countries, businesses, and essentially, to give you an analogy that I think will be understood immediately here, to create a binational catapult scheme. You link up businesses, academia, and government entities on both sides to move things forward. Beyond that, education, with the University of Southampton having become the first any foreign university to open up, to sort of finalize a decision to open up a greenfield campus in India. We're looking essentially at key building blocks that will drive the relationship in the future, looking at people, looking at research, looking at business. Now, if you put all of this together, the FTA clearly is part of that process, where you give businesses, service industries, even manufacturing industries, automotives, obviously whiskey, which, as you know, we are now the largest bulk consumer of whiskey in the world, Scotch whiskey in the world, which only comprises, I think, less than what is it, Sriranjini, correct me, 5% of the total of our consumption. So the headroom, and I use the word advisedly considering what we're drinking, is huge. If you look at that, even for manufactured goods and value-added products plus services, the opportunity that we offer each other is colossal. Now, why is the FTA important? It isn't important only for these reasons. It's important because it creates a vested interest in businesses on both sides in investing in the relationship. That makes it strategic. When you have the City of London's financial corporations and all of the Magic Circle law firms and the Scotch Whisky Association and Indian automotive manufacturers, etc., all invested in the idea of a strong partnership with the UK, you have created the basis for the next 20 years of the relationship. Yes. And that, frankly, is where we need to be going.
Yeah, and look, getting agreement to the free trade agreement is a priority actually for both our governments. It was a commitment in the Labour Party manifesto that they stood in the election to achieve, and it is something that we will seek to get agreement on as soon as possible. I think we need to be very realistic about the prospects and the challenges that still remain in getting the deal across the line. I talked about continuity before. I think that Modi 3.0 has all the same challenges in terms of the protectionist instincts of some parts of the Indian economy, which will be very familiar to people in this room. And there are protectionist instincts in some parts of the UK economy, which are very familiar to some people in this room. And to get a free trade agreement, and also, as you said, BBR, free trade is not always seen as quite the panacea that it was in the past. But it is still something that will deliver economic opportunity and will deliver growth and will deliver jobs in both our countries. And it is something, therefore, that is really important for those of us who are strong believers in the UK-India relationship to continue to make the case for why a good, substantial free trade agreement is in both our countries' interests. And we will certainly, from a UK perspective, continue to work on that. But as you said, it's not the only thing that speaks to that relationship. And in fact, of course, an FTA, even when we get that agreed, that will only be the beginning of unlocking the potential in terms of the investment piece, in terms of those trading opportunities. And I do keep reminding people, we have a danger as government of this, the champagne moment, the signature of the piece of paper, rather than the hard work. And as you said about the bridge, the hard work starts at the point of signature, not at the doesn't stop there. And I think that's very much true. And when I look at the kind of relationship between the UK and India, I think it will be in the services space where the real opportunities are, for example. In a free trade agreement, a lot of the discussions we have are about goods and that side of it. And those are important and incredibly important in terms of number of jobs. And my good friends in the Scottish Whisky Association will remind me of the importance of that to the UK economy. But it's also the financial services, as we know here in the city, it's the legal services. And it's all the opportunities that will be unpacked in that sort of area, some of which will be in the FTA, a lot of which will be delivered through the hard grind of those kind of conversations that we have. But that's where the opportunities are. And that's why, that's where there's a fantastic complementarity between the UK economy and the Indian economy. We have skills and expertise in this country that India wants, is thirsty for, not just the money, but the skills and expertise as well. And as we bring our two economies, actually, you can grow at 8.5%. I'd be happy with that. Because the spillover effects of that will be good for the UK. It won't get us up to those sort of numbers, but it will help us in our efforts to get growth here. So that's the kind of opportunities I think.